just a typical entry on the 15. I was happy with that. Part of me was nearly going to wait for the 1 hour on that one, purely just because on the 1 hour momentum, but I'm not too bothered about momentum of a third into the third part of the run. I would expect that to have a bit of momentum to then just equal that back as well. So 15, as soon as it was just hanging around in here, I just got in there. It was only 15 minutes away from the hourly close pretty much. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. Really simple. We keep it clean. Oh, you missed the position, Sir Hap. How did you get on where you got the, was it Euro Sterling that you caught, which is really nice. Good evening. Right, guys, so I want to get into this. So, see it like this. Your goal to become a 7-figure trader, the 3 main pillars is this right here. It's this triangle. I've spoke about this previously in a few episodes, and I've alluded to it on some YouTube lives and some Instagram lives and all kind of things. But for those of you that have not seen it, it's very important. How many of you, just in the chat, I'd be curious actually, how many of you are not profitable? And how many of you are profitable? Just let me know in the chat. And then you'll really understand why this is important. Oh, Monk Mode Month has been ridiculous for trades. Just the overall collective consciousness of everyone being dialed in. I knew it would naturally improve people's results, which has been awesome. What do you think about trading a single pair? It can be done. I'm not a fan of it. However, it doesn't mean that it's impossible. Just not our style. Completely missed this one. Definitely something to delve deeper in. 3 trades that were heavily focused on in FX live session. I didn't take a single one. It's a good thing to dig into, Liam, right? Because you might find one of that big breakthrough that you're looking through is probably within the answer of that. Because in hindsight, I know you would see it and be like, right, yeah, I could see that. So dig into that part, because that's where your breakthrough is. Very likely anyway. Okay, so let's see. So we got some break even, not profitable in drawdown at the moment, not profitable. Okay, so not consistent. Not profitable yet. And why do you think that is? I'm just curious why you think it is. Because if we look at most people's goals, right? Most people's goals is you want to be trading funded capital. So you're either someone who's gone through a funded assessment, or you're looking to go for a funded assessment. But essentially, your goal is that you're trying to acquire capital because you want to make more money. I get it. However, my question is this. If you just look at the industry stats, most people don't keep their funded accounts. They don't keep them for long enough, so they don't really make too much money, and they just go around in the same circle. So if the average person spends, I mean, put it in the chat what you think, but if the average trader is spending, let's say, £3,000, £4,000 on assessments until they even start to make money, and that's even if they do make money, how much more money would you save yourself if you just knew how to think like a professional trader? You knew how to think like a profitable trader. Just ask that question first and foremost. Because most traders, before we get into this triangle actually, so you understand, they're competing in the wrong areas. So remember, you can't trade like a bank. You're not a bank. You don't have the same latency. You don't have the same volume. You don't have the same access to information. So don't compete in areas in which that you don't have a competitive advantage over. If you don't have an advantage taking a limit order in an area that you think the banks and the institutions are trading, you don't have the same advantage. So why would you trade in the same area? Now, there are areas in which that it's kind of level playing field, which is what we call the start of the impulsive run. You don't need to trade like a bank. You don't need to have the same volume as that, but it doesn't mean that you can't make money from their runs. So as simple as this, what we're doing in Falcon and what we've always done is that we are going with the wave of the momentum. We don't have an advantage per pip. We're not getting in at the exact moment that all of the money's coming into the market. We're anticipating that to happen, and then we start to ride that wave. So we don't need to be in at the same time as then. But the reason why a lot of traders, and you're going to see with the equity curves, as to why traders lose a lot, is because their ego gets in the way, that they try to get to a point that they think that they're going to compete with some of the biggest players in the world. Your goal is to become consistent and profitable, not have your ego involved. Your goal is not to be the best trader in the world. Your goal is to not think that you're more right than when you're wrong. It's got nothing to do with that. So trade where you do have an advantage. Your biggest advantage is to not compete, put it that way. Your biggest advantage in trading is to not compete with the bigger players in the market. It's to understand, where is the money coming in? How do I ride that wave? Okay, so this is likely where the money comes into the market. This is where the amateurs are trapped on the wrong side of the market, what we call mass psychology. Where can I now get in? It might not be at the exact level that they get in, but that doesn't matter because I'll still ride the wave anyway. So that's what we do. It's not complicated. It never has been. It's just many people over the years have done that. Right, so the polls come out. Not yet. 77% interested in 22%. Okay, nice. Well, listen, you can be 1 or 2 decisions away from being profitable. So first and foremost, that's key. But let's go through this triangle, and I really want you to be honest in the chat where you think you sit within that. So think of this as a circuit. These are the 3 main things, the 3 main ways, the 3 core pillars, whatever you want to call it, that's going to help you trade 7 figures. And if you don't have all of them working like a circuit, you won't trade 7 figures. Hands down right now, not happening for you. So your system, right? Now this could be, you're either trading Falcon, you're trading SMC, you're trading Elliott waves, support and resistance, supply and demand, Bollinger Bands, Fibonacci, whatever it is, a combination of all of them. You've got something, right? But your system, and does your system have an edge, right? Do you understand an edge? Okay, nice. So some different strategies. Okay, so who is trading Falcon? Who's trading something else? Let us know in the chat what kind of system that you're trading with. Right, so once you've got that, you've got an edge, you've got a system. Your goal as a trader to scale up to 7 figures is, how do I learn that system? How do I become unconsciously competent? Essentially, you just want to be a savage on the charts and really know your system like the back of your hand. So regardless of what it is, most people put this, the top part, they put it as the most important part, which is why you'll find all of these traders on YouTube still backtesting 17 years later and just jumping from system to system to system. Listen, I understand why they do it. It's not always their fault. The industry has misled them for years and years. Brokers have done an incredible job of this over the years, misleading you into these things, that thinking that, right, as long as you've got more knowledge, then maybe it'll stop you getting stopped out by these stop hunts and all these different things. The reality is there's a lot of systems that will have an edge. But the more and more you start to seek into, right, there's this holy grail system, the further away you actually go from hitting 7 figures. That's the irony. I can tell who's going to make it and be I would say, a high net worth individual as a trader versus just how they view trading systems. That's normally a very key clue. Because if I see a trader where they really value, they overvalue the technicals and ignore the psychology, that already tells me how much they're trading, how much lack of self-awareness they've got, and just how much work they've got to do. So I understand why it happens. So you've got your edge, you've got your trading system, regardless of what it is, even if it's something what you would call very basic as support and resistance, and just that. Then it's going to be your trading plan. Now this is going to be the key part. Who's got a trading plan? Who's got a tested, that's a better way to phrase it, who's got a tested trading plan that you know has an edge? Combination of zones, numbers, sessions, days. Okay. Trading Falcon with just YouTube knowledge. Okay, nice. Two months of consistency, break-even account growth, SMC, pattern identification system. Okay, listen guys, honestly, at this stage, it doesn't matter how you trade. This is not like which is the better system. It's nothing to do with that. This is just understanding that once you've got an edge, that's tick box number 1. Then you want to have a trading plan, right? So your trading plan needs to be something that is not 17 pages long. It's got to be very short, very concise, and you need to learn it like the back of your hand. That's the key part. Now, it's this section here. You want that circuit to flow. How is that circuit going to flow? And I'm going to get to the trading psychology part after I run you through the equity curves and link it together. What my aim to do is in this episode is really open your mind up as to how much money you're losing by not investing into psychology, and understanding how many years you will waste if you do not fix this third part. The crazy thing is, with your trading plan and your system, so this first section 1 and 2, you can actually make money in that period. That's the thing that is very, very dangerous and very scary, because you will go unpunished for a long time. And you might even get up to trading 100k, right? Because you could be competent on the charts, you could have a good system, your trading plan could be fairly decent, and you might just be generally good at reading the charts and executing on trades. You know, your psychology might not be horrible, but I can promise you this, like every other trader that's not immune to this, it will catch up on you. It always does. So just understand this circuit. If you've not got all of these flowing, you'll never be consistent longer term. Not at all. I've never met anyone that just has just 1 or 2 of these and then has nothing else. For example, imagine you've got incredible psychology and you've got an incredible system, but your trading plan's just absolute rubbish. Do you really think you'll be profitable? Well, you've got 2 parts, which are really great. Your mindset's in the right place. You've got a good system, but your trading plan is all over the place. So you would still take loads more losses than what you need to be, because your trading plan's not specific enough. So you would take a lot more low quality trades. You'd have a good mindset and you'd have a good system, but your trading plan's awful. Most people are neglecting the psychology, but again, as I've explained, you can't just have one without the others. They have to flow like a circuit. But let's take a look at these equity curves. Let me know you can see these equity curves. We've got some failed accounts and past accounts, and I'll be curious from you guys as to what you think about them. And I'm going to explain something that's very, very important. Or does anyone notice anything straight away? Let me know in the chat. Do you notice anything by any of these accounts, passed or failed? Either one. Welcome those of you just joining us on the live for the first time. Appreciate the love, Serhat, and to everyone, smash that like button. We love sharing the knowledge with you guys and giving you more of a safer space to just educate you in the right way. You know, we're never going to give you the BS. We're going to give you the truth. We're not going to glamorize anything, and we want you to have a sustainable career. Listen, some of you are learning on Falcon from YouTube, and you've been investing what you can into that period of time. We just scratched the surface on YouTube for what we go into. However, I can appreciate and understand some people's financial situation. If that's all you've got and we're still helping you, well then, you know, that's incredible for us to be able to contribute towards your journey, even from afar if you're not up close just yet. Got an FTMO account, 1 profitable month, made 4K, then next month blew it. Took months out since. See, it's interesting, right? Because most people will go through this. So we'll look at the first top 2. So as you can see, pretty much 14 trades in, what happens? Someone has a winner, right? Big winner here, as you can see. And then what is really obvious in these equity curves straight away, that you see straight away? Decline, 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 decline. And even when there's a win, decline straight after. Win, decline straight after. So what is the problem with it here? Look at the lack of composure within here. Now, the thing I want to highlight straight away, which is important, is that you've got to realize that even with these past accounts, so these equity curves that are a little bit more steady, you have to understand one thing. The 2 above may be equally as good at finding profitable positions. Now, granted, some of them went on for a much bigger trades than the ones up top. However, they might be equally as good as finding profitable trades, because you don't know with these 4 people, you don't know their exact competency, you don't know what trades they stayed in, you don't know what trades they actually stayed out of. There's lots of variables within there. However, what you've got to understand, and you've got 2 composed people down here with these 2 past, and you've got people here that can't regulate your emotions. So even when they win, they instantly lose. Win, lose. And this one, I guess, especially the second one, right? They win, and then they just carry on, just a slow bleed all the way to 70 trades, and then they lose their account. So if you understand that you could be 1 or 2 small decisions away from being profitable, the graph isn't always a true indication as to exactly where that trader is. Because what if they're very similar of skill level? And I'll explain something. Take a look at the third one, right? So the first one in the past section. If you look at that first one, so you see after 34, 35 trades, we get the winner. What happens after? What can you see straight after that? Do we have lots of decline, or is it just a slight flat line? It's nothing too crazy, right? See that as almost like a continuation. And then even after the next win, what happens? A slight bit of drawdown, but nothing too crazy. So the question you've got to ask yourself in this equity curve in particular, the first one, is how many trades did that individual stay out of? So after the big winner, how many trades did that individual stay out of by learning how to be emotionally composed? And where did they learn that to be emotionally composed? Rewired. This is what I'm talking about. All the modules here. I'll go into the back end a little bit and just explain some bits to you, right? But within here, they learn how to think correctly. In here, they learn how to regulate their emotions. They're more of a conscious trader. So it's so fascinating to see that if you've got all four of these traders and said, like, right, show me what trades you think are profitable, analyze the markets, you might actually look at every single one of them and go, if you listen to them analyze the markets, you might say, they all seem like they're at a very similar skill level to me. That they seem like they analyze, they forecast well, the trades, they look good, their trading plans actually look quite decent as well. However, two are emotionally composed, self-aware, high self-esteem, good self-image, discipline, good routine, and another two are all over the place. They can all four of them can identify profitable trades. Two of them have no composure whatsoever. How do they learn to be composed? Well, they learn to be composed by thinking correctly, and this fixes all of those problems. Hands down, there is nothing in the entire market, that is going to be as practical as this for psychology. You can't be consistently profitable without something that fixes your mind. You will only be profitable for a very short duration. And you know what is tried and tested and true with that? How many of you have read Trading in the Zone, and how many of people that have read Trading in the Zone do they attribute the book itself to making you successful? When do you ever hear it? Do you hear any success stories where someone says, you know what, I was struggling massively. I knew my trading system to a degree, but what I did is I picked up Trading in the Zone. And this is not me to devalue it, because I think it's an incredible book and there's so many principles within there, especially about thinking probabilistically. But what you've got to understand is, if no one is picking up that book, reading it and going, psychology's fixed now, I'm sorted, I've now started to scale up, I'm trading really big accounts, and I can always go back and attribute that to Trading in the Zone, there might be a rarity, but it's not common. Why? It's because, again, it's more knowledge. Knowledge. The knowledge is still good, but if it's not practical, how on earth are you going to apply that in the day-to-day markets? How are you going to, for example, I'll tell you how you can track your emotional state right away in here, right? So flow zone. So in module 2, you are already learning how to just track your emotional state. Why is that important? Always go back to the equity curves, right? So this all links together so you understand. If someone within here, so after this first one that passed, that he had a big winner and then it just started to just flat off a little bit, if that person's a more conscious trader, so let's say, for example, they had an argument with their partner that day and it was stressful at work, but they was on the charts, looking for positions, scouring for trades, and what they realized is that, right, hold on a minute, I'm feeling emotional, and I know I'm just searching for a trade out of boredom, revenge, just something. I'm not in the right state of mind. Let me just compose myself a little bit, and maybe I shouldn't be taking this position. And they will just have the awareness and consciousness to interrupt that pattern in the moment. We talk about something called error thought within the Rewired program. But as an example, the only difference is someone like this wins, gets too excited, ego gets the best of them, and then what do? They get complacent. Who here watches, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but hopefully you're starting to connect the dots so you can see how you would be way more profitable if you just knew how to think correctly. I could literally give you module 2 and module 5 alone, just those two modules, and that would fix probably 80% of your problems, just 2 modules, let alone the rest of it, let alone the rest of the content that's coming. But I want to see who's a football fan in here, and just let me know who's a football fan. I want to explain something. You didn't finish reading it. I would highly recommend going through it. It's a great book. Is it going to be practical to fix your psychology? I personally don't believe so. What strategy do you use to pass to the funded account? Well, these are all FALCON. You. Okay, nice. Right, so understand this. When are football teams, right? When are football teams most vulnerable? When are football teams most vulnerable? At what point? When they do what? Let me see if anyone gets it. You get one guess. When are they most vulnerable? Yeah, you'll have to let me know how you get on with the book. Oh, I can't read what Stanley's saying. I think it says Chelsea bought the league. Something like that. I don't know. Right. After they score. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head, Andrew. Right? So they're most vulnerable after they get a goal. Why? When they're winning, they get complacent. Exactly. Because as soon as they score, because you see it, right? I'm a big football fan. And the commentators, call it the curse of the commentators straight away. As soon as they score, even if it's a very, very competent team, when they get a goal, what happens? Right, they're most vulnerable to concede. What do you think happens in trading? In trading, as soon as you win, right, you're most vulnerable to concede. And this is what's happening. It's the same thing. You feel invincible. You forget all of the logical side of the things that you needed to do. You forget all of the layers and the stages that you went through to actually get the result in the first place. And you get complacent. It happens, which is why when traders, again, in these curves, when traders bank a big trade, and so let's say you're up 10%, you try and explain to that trader that just banked 10% that either the trade was a fluke and it wasn't actually that great of a trade, or right now you shouldn't be taking loads more trades. They're like, well, I'm up 10%. You know, I'm up 10% on my FTMO or 5%ers or whatever it is, or Falcon fund, and I'm just going to take all these other trades. I can afford to take the risk. And it's a slippery slope where the composed trader that has learned how to think correctly won't do that. I've just given, if those have not realized, I'm giving you the secret to the market. It's not complicated. I've spoken about in Falcon for years and years and years, but hopefully you'll make the connection from more of a graph perspective that sometimes the only difference, listen, the trader here that has got a slow bleed, they might actually be not that great of a trader and they've got lots of technical work to do. I'm not saying that people are immune to doing more technical work. Technicals are very, very vital and they're very important. And some people have loads of work to do from that. However, a lot of the times you'll find that traders are at a very, very similar skill level technically, but emotionally worlds apart. So if emotionally you're worlds apart, you're the one trading that account, whether it's an FTMO or personal capital, you're the one trading the account. No one else is trading it for you, right? So if you're the one trading the account, well, then you have to learn how to be emotionally composed. And if you've got negativity around you, if you've got a terrible routine, if your self-talk is awful, if you're someone who's quite anxious all the time, explain to me logically how you're ever going to trade more money and win. Or are you just going to bank a withdrawal here and there and then just blow it and then go back in the same cycle? Think about how much money you could have saved by learning how to think in the correct way. This is the point. So it's why we spent 2 years creating the Rewired program. You're not getting a trading book from a psychologist. You're getting trading psychology from a trader. It's very different. Is because I base all of my theories and all my logic and all my experience off of things that are practical, because I understand humans. I understand human behavior. Because remember, what's logical to do is not always logical. I'll give you an example. Imagine you're trading and I show you a system. Good evening, guys. Welcome everyone joining, by the way. So imagine I show you a system in which that you can make 100% per month. Ultra risky, but I tell you that in order to make that 100%, you on average will take about 10 losses before you bank the big win or 2 big wins. Are you going to do that? Right? Firstly, if you're on funded accounts, you'd probably hit the drawdown every single time. However, Imagine logically, you could look at that. We'd say, well, it doesn't matter about the losses because even if I lose 10 times, if I'm banking 100%, well, who cares? You know, I'm going to be up more often than not. So that would be the logical side. Well, go be a multimillionaire then, because there's loads of systems that will tell you that they can do that. Literally, go and be a millionaire. And why aren't there any? It's because emotionally it's disgusting. Emotionally it's horrible. Emotionally it's not scalable. It's not a scalable system. And that's the cold, hard truth. If it's not emotionally scalable, you're not going to be able to trade with larger amounts of money. So what happens is, as soon as you do, let's say for the triangle here, right? Let's say your trading plan in your system, you know it really well. You've gone unpunished because you're technically good. Your trading plan's good. You start to scale up the account because you hit some funded challenges. You're up to 300k. What happens to 99.9% of traders? They lose it all. Why do they lose it all? Because of this trading psychology here, which is why this stuff happens. They win down. And what happens is, imagine 3 years from now, your equity curve is just like this every time. How are you going to feel knowing that you've wasted another 3 years where you could have built yourself up internally? People are avoiding the inner work. It's already been tried and tested from day one. People with a great mindset in sport are better than others. People in a great mindset in business tend to do better than others. People with a better mindset in the gym tend to do better than others. People with a better mindset in trading tend to do better than others. It's very, very clear, but most people are avoiding it. So what I would say to you guys and girls is this. If you're serious about leveling up your trading and you want to understand the 3 ways to being a 7-figure trader, these are the 3 core pillars, if you like, to being a successful trader. See it as a circuit. That circuit needs to be running smoothly in order for that to be running smoothly. You first need to identify, is the trading system you've got, has it got an edge? Is it backed by at least over 10 years of data? Then number 2, you want to make sure that you've got a clear trading plan, black and white. Listen, your trading plan is not going to be amazing on its first or second draft. It might take you a while to refine that. So don't put too much pressure on having this perfect trading plan straight away. And then last but not least is your psychology, which is the deeper part that most people want to avoid. But funny enough, it's the very thing that's going to make you the most money. It's the very thing that will help you make more money. So see it as a long-term investment in yourself. Guys, I'm giving you a heads up now. When the price increase goes up for Rewide, it's up. It's never coming down again. It's as simple as that. So if you're very, very serious, make sure you click the links in the description. You want to reach out to us. Be one of the best investments you make in yourself. And as we add more and more with Rewide 2.0, you will have that at no extra cost. So I'm just giving you a final warning. You've got about 2 or 3 days until that goes up. For those of you that are in Rewide, you'll have everything access, as I've said, from day one. And I'm incredibly proud of the growth that we've got. So it's ridiculous the amount of success that we've seen. Listen, it's not just Rewide on its own. Of course, the traders are still technically sound. A lot of these people have done a lot of work for a period of time. They've done psychological work as well. A lot of them are in a process of being coached one-to-one, right? So they're getting that one-to-one mentoring, looking over their trades, and there'll be emotional psychology within there as well. But Rewide as a framework, as a whole, has absolutely everything that you need to be a successful trader. It's as simple as that. Who in here has got Rewide, by the way, or thinking about getting Rewide? Overtrading, then boom, blow accounts. It happens time and time again. I'm a bit behind. Chelsea bought the league. Stonley said that, not me. Right? I didn't say that. Good evening, good evening. So guys, any conclusions? I'm in the Q&A section now, so feel free to ask me any questions. But I wanted to just take you through those curves, just so you can see. Sometimes we don't connect the dots, but it's pretty obvious, right? The 2 traders that have passed their accounts, they're emotionally composed. I mean, even the last one here, as you can see, win, You know, very, very small trades, win again, composed, doesn't decline, doesn't, even if it's a little bit of drawdown, it's okay, but it's not massive at all. It's tiny, it's negligible. So there is a level of awareness, emotional composure, and there's no over trading just for the sake of it. Where these ones, as you can see, it's like very, very forced, but it's just a slow bleed. This is a pattern. You normally can see within people's personalities. You see their personality, because most people think that there is some sort of systems that suit your personality. Absolute garbage, by the way. And anyone that tells you that there are trading systems that suit your personality has such a lack of self-awareness. It's scary. There's no such thing. There is just only a personality of a successful trader. Think about it. You tell me, what is it? What are the traits, or what is a trader personality? What does that even mean? All there is someone who has the traits to be successful at trading, not a specific personality. That's normally a mask for insecurities. I'll give you an example. Let's say someone struggles to hold the trade for more than 3 hours. What they'll do is they'll say, oh, this doesn't suit my personality. What I need to do is I need to find a system in which that I can trade and be in and out the markets in about 10 minutes. You're like, oh yeah, that suits my personality. No, it doesn't. You just got no emotional regulation. You can't stay in a trade for more than 2-3 hours because you're anxious. It's got nothing to do with the trading system. It's bullshit. So again, it's a slippery slope when you start going down that road. So what I would advise to all of you guys and girls is make sure you adopt the mindset of a trader's winning personality. That's it, which is someone who's disciplined, emotional composure, has good self-awareness, good self-esteem, all of these things that you're going to have wiring, either bad wiring or good wiring. We go through all of it and rewired. But what I'm saying is that's the holy grail for trading, because you could take anyone, right? Anyone who has been profitable in a system that has got themselves figured out. I could show them a brand new system they know nothing about, and they would learn it and they would be profitable with it 100 times quicker than anyone else who might have been learning it for a year. Why? Because their mindset and their emotional composure for trading specifically is already dialed in, because they know how, right, I've taken a couple of losses here. They know how to be emotionally composed. So they're less likely, even if they didn't understand this new system, they would be less likely to then deviate and then just take a bunch of trades and go into, minus 10% drawdown. They probably wouldn't do that. Why? Because they've got emotional composure. So it's always the individual. The individual is the key. That's your holy grail to unlock the 7 figures, the profits that you want, sustain it for longer term. It's never a system. So people got to get their head out of the sand, seriously. But there's a big shift coming in the industry that I've been talking about for 2 years. It's pretty much here now, because the millionaires seem to be hiding. They're in the caves, like they're not there. Why are these 100% months not manifesting into 50k accounts? Why are they not turning into £5 million accounts? So people are scratching their head thinking, hold on a minute, maybe I am emotional and I'm living in fantasy land. Because the reality is there'll be someone out there right now trading support and resistance with an incredible mindset that will be making more money than anybody else, because it's always the individual. That's the key. Will this Falcon YouTube live be uploaded to the Falcon YouTube channel? There is a high chance that it will. Any tips on how to build a trading plan? That's going to be very specific to how you're trading. Yeah, that's going to be very specific. I mean, that's ultra specific, right? How you're trading, what system you're trading. The biggest tip is keep it as clean as possible, as black and white as possible. Don't have too many variables in there, because that will just lead to emotional decisions and it won't be specific enough. What are your thoughts on only sticking to AFT entries only because it works for you? And lastly, sticking to pairs that work perfectly on neglecting the others. What I would say is this: if you're great at execute, like, listen, I'm going to execute naturally more on AFT entries, more on advanced entries, purely because I'm at a more advanced level, so that's natural. I don't specifically go, right, I have to take AFT entries, right? For example, pound yen, that wasn't an AFT entry, right? It was just a typical Falcon entry, right? So I wouldn't so much say you only have to take AFT entries. What I would say, naturally you'll gravitate towards not just taking 20 pairs. You might, because some people think this, and this is very, very interesting, because I get this message a lot. I don't really have to, I want to trade Falcon, I want to trade the system, but don't have time to trade, 28 pairs. And I thought, where does that come from? Because we don't trade 28 pairs. We don't analyze 28 pairs every single day. We narrow our watch list, and then we spend very minimal time in front of the charts because we know what we're looking for, and it's a game of waiting and patience. I don't get the question. That comes from a position of not really understanding what we do, so I can clarify that part. Naturally, if I was to look over the year, I probably frequently only trade 5 pairs or 6 pairs, if you like. There'll be the odd pair, the odd instrument that I'll trade, but overall, I'm not trading, 17 different pairs. And some trades, say for example, I might take a trade on pound Swiss, and then I might not take a trade on pound Swiss again for 6 months. But there'll be the regular ones like euro dollar, euro Aussie, like a lot of the yen pairs as well, right? So dollar yen, Aussie yen, Kiwi yen, pound yen's a more frequent one for me. But it's not taking all these different pairs. So you just narrow your watch list, be clear on what you're looking for, forecast the scenarios, and then you just wait. It's a lot more of a waiting game than anything else. Who is trading funded capital, by the way? If one has been consistent on a 10k funded account, would you advise going straight for the 200k funded account from a psychological perspective? I feel like you know the answer in that question within itself. The fact that you asked the psychological perspective shows you that there's going to be psychology in there. There's going to be psychological wobbles. So, of course, I don't recommend it. Right, going from 10k to 200 is a very different ballgame. You're better off, if you're going through the 10k, whatever profit you make, you're better off securing Rewired and making sure that you now have a hub for your mindset for life. And then scale your account incrementally and make sure your image is in place, you're aware of the words that you choose, you understand the Rewired formula, of course. You're a more conscious trader, more self-aware, and you track your emotional state week in, week out. You should know, hands down, every single week on a scale of 1 to 10. I'll just show you very briefly, right? You should know, hands down, on a scale of 1 to 10 here, where you sit every single week. You should know. If someone said to you, right, what was your state of mind throughout the week? Forget about flow state, those words at the moment, or flow zone, because you won't understand. But you should know at the end of the week, roughly, where do you sit? Or did you roughly sit at last week at a 5? And if you sit there and think, do you know what? I don't even know. And if you don't even know where you sit, then you've got bigger problems, my friend. Seriously. You need to know, because if you had a profitable week, right, and you can reverse engineer that profitable week was tracked by a good emotional state, and you were sitting roughly in a 6 to an 8, you could reverse engineer and look at what are the things I've done that week. How did I spend my morning routine? How did I spend my evening routine? There's so many things you'd be able to dissect and go, right, this is it. This is helping me stay in a better state of mind. And by being in that better state of mind, that's becoming a vessel for me to be able to make good quality decisions. And I'm taking better trades. Where someone will just go through drawdown, and then you would ask them, right, so what was your state of mind last week on average? They're like, I don't know. Exactly. So how do you expect your results to be good if you don't even know what state of mind? What's influencing your day-to-day operation? Is it home? Is it your work environment? Is it the garbage that you watch on TV? Is it the radio that infiltrates your mind? Is it propaganda? Whatever it is it TikTok? Is it YouTube? You need to ask these questions, and if you don't ask those questions, then you're definitely not going to be aware, and your equity curve is going to keep looking like this, or it's going to be a very, very slow bleed. You'll be what we call the slow loser, right? So you have the slow loser, you have the fast loser, and you have the composed winner, which is where you want to be, right? Now, the thing about the slow losers is that they're not really self-aware, because they take little wins here and there, and then what happens over a period of time is a very, very, very slow bleed. And it might be a whole year until they figure out, whoa, I need to do some inner work now. I need to really work on my mindset. So you want to make sure you become more, your ultimate goal is to become a composed winner. That's it. Think about that. There's one thing I can leave you with this episode, is you want to become a composed winner. And you can become a composed winner and ask good questions around that, then you're on your way to 7 figures. That's for sure. But these are the 3 pillars. Here is the secret sauce. And that a lot of people won't tell you, they won't explain it, because you will get sucked into this top part of, look at this system, this is where you can bank these big returns. And you'll ignore the most important thing, which is, well, you've still got to trade that system. And if you're not equipped and you're broken, how are you going to produce any results out of it? Last year I was funded with 300k, everything was going perfectly fine. Then my personal life went absolutely crazy, broke up with my girlfriend, mum died, and can barely trade my 50k account. Well, first and foremost, I'm sorry for your loss, and I could only imagine the emotional state that you would have gone through from that, from all of those things, especially the passing. So would you expect any other human to not find it difficult to go through something like that and be trading that account? Of course not. But this is where, listen, life can be very tough, and it can be sometimes very, very difficult to take and unfair at times. However, you've got to be emotionally as strong as possible to be able to cope with it. Life is not about wishing things are always going to be smooth and easy, because it's just not, unfortunately. And some tough times. Look at what's going on with the earthquakes right now. Right, very, very difficult things happening. People losing their lives, all kinds of things that I won't get into right now. However, it's not about what happens to us, it's about how are we as people, how do we emotionally respond to those situations? Does it break us? Does it crumble us? Or are we able to rebuild? Are we able to come out on the other side of that much stronger and just work with what we've got? So this is why your best investment you'll ever make is in your own mind. I can assure you that. I recently passed my 100k my Forex fund account. My aim is to now get rewired to fix my psychology. My next goal is to have a conversation. Yeah, nice. Love that, Sonny. Love that. You want to be mindful of that as well, especially if you just got your 100k, because if your mind runs away with, right, what I'll do is I'll get rewired once I've got 200k and I've had a 20k payout. It's the same thing of like, right, once I get a six pack, I'm going to start eating really, really healthy. It doesn't work that way. You have an opportunity there, especially if you get a payout, to make sure you've invested into your mind, into your psychology. So for those of you that are genuinely serious, you're not time wasters, you want to trade for a long period of time, do yourself a favor, because in 3 days, price is going up, and it is what it is. And there has been 2 years, hundreds of hours, if not 1,000, that has gone into building this framework. That it's not just going to help you in trading, it's going to help you in so many other areas of life that I'm not even going to touch on. Right? Just go speak to other people that have gone through it. Some people that won't even be aware of it yet. I get messages on a daily basis of, wow, I didn't even realize I was in this altercation, or I was in this situation with my partner, and I realized that I was able to deal with, let's say, like a negative situation, and I never would have been able to deal with that before, but Rewired helped me think less emotionally, and I was able to look at things more logically. So there are so many stories that I will get from Rewired that's got nothing to do with trading as well, that, right, this is helping me outside of my life, or I'm sharing these tips with my family, and then they're doing these things as well. So honestly, it's been incredible. The feedback's been phenomenal. And we're just going to dominate this space. It's as simple as that. It's the most practical thing out there. So I thank you to everyone who's been in Rewired, going through it, and really diving and being brave enough to dive into parts of you that, listen, it's not always easy. I'm not saying diving into your psychology and understanding why you are the way that you are is easy, but it's absolutely necessary if you want to pass funded accounts and you want to keep your funded accounts. Ask yourself this: do you want to be one of those statistics where you keep getting accounts, blow it, keep getting an account, blow it, and you just go around that circle, go round in that cycle, and then 2 years passed, and you could have fixed yourself, and if you fixed yourself and your personality wasn't broken, your mind wasn't broken, you'd make more money. You will save thousands in the process. Like, how much money are you losing by not having your mindset in the right place? That's always my question. I've always worked on my mindset. This has been an obvious thing to me, but I get it. This industry has sold so many people on returns. It's misled you into thinking, right, that's the road that I need to go down. Yet those people are not winning. So only follow in the footsteps of the winners that are emotionally composed. That's where you want to be, guys. So hopefully it's a big wake-up call for many people as well, because I get it. You want to change your life? Well, guess what? You can't avoid it. It will catch up on you. I lost my mother 3 weeks ago, blown 3 challenges in the past 3 weeks. It's best to stop training or continue. The thing is, right, you going, again, I'm very, very sorry for your loss, and that can be very, very tough. But I think you diving into, listen, my answer is not always going to be the right answer. Who am I to tell you going through that time, this is what you should do? However, my overall perspective on it is that going through funded account after funded account after funded account may not be the best thing. But at the same time, it's very, very important that you direct your energy into something during a very difficult time like that. But if you're going through loss after loss on a funded account and just burning money away, maybe it's time to take a step back from that. Even if you take a step away from the charts, right, and do something different, just compose yourself the best way that you can doing something else, right? Because I get it, it could be very, very difficult, and then you're probably channeling that energy into, right, I'm just going to keep trading it. You might even feel numb while you're trading it. However, it's just going to be a slippery slope. I would take a step back if I was you. That would just be personal. Like if I was speaking to a friend to friend, take a step back, right? As of right now, jumping into more funded accounts, I personally don't believe is the answer. Hey Mark, what do you advise for someone who takes prop firm free competitions in order to make it, since they don't have capital to invest? Is it possible to make it in the long run after make plus 50? Listen, what I would say is everyone's financial situation is different. You work with what you've got, but what I would say is this: the moment that you get into a position that you're able to either, I can get another funded account or invest in my psychology, you invest in your psychology, because it's inevitable. If you don't, you're going to lose. All you've done is just delay the process. What trader example, I'm going to leave you with this before we finish up, guys. What trader example have you met where someone said, you know what, mindset's not important. The only thing that's important is you knowing a really, really good profitable trading strategy and you got a good trading plan. That's it. Don't worry about the mindset. You don't need that. Mindset's not important. Absolute zilch. Zero examples of someone successful that would give you that advice. So why would you not follow in the footsteps of the people that all win? The best traders in the industry, right? Industry standard, institutional level, all talk about mindset and not about system. So the answers are actually right in front of you, but we just choose not to listen to them because you saw some random person on TikTok showing you how they can trade like a bank. That's the hilarious part of the industry. So steer away from that. You want a long-term trading career, follow my advice. I've been in this, I'm a veteran in the markets now, 15 years. I know my stuff. I've been here a long period of time, and I will guide you in the right direction, as I have done thousands of others, and I'll continue to do so. And we're just going to carry on dominating, because the plans that we've got, the infrastructure that we've got, you just cannot match it, because it's not a pop-up shop, not here today, gone tomorrow, and the tide's going out, guys. Make a decision for your future. Very, very important over the next couple of years. But I thank you all for your time and attention. And as always, you can watch the episode back. You can go into the details that you want to go to. But please take note of this triangle. If this circuit is not running correctly, you're going to find it very, very difficult to start hitting the equity curves that you want to hit, or you're just going to look like 1 and 2 over and over and over again. Rewired. Don't sleep on it. It's not going to be at this price for too much longer. Guys, have an incredible weekend. I wish you all the best, everyone in the trading space. Remember, it's a tough game that we're in, guys. However, your families, so the fact that you're brave enough to go